The budget is just over 2 weeks away, and a new survey of 7,000 Australians has found that over 50s are concerned about what's ahead. 85% of people would like to pay less tax for every dollar made after the age of 65. 74% are opposed to changes to the pension assets test, and 71% support the idea of an independent body taking over super and pensions policy. For more on this, we're joined by FiftyUp Club spokesman, Mr. Christopher Zinn. Chris, it's good to see you. Now, tell us why you commissioned this study and what you actually found.
Well, look, people over 50 actually account for 50% of the household disposable income, so they buy a lot of things, and they also have an interest in what they're going to do when they retire, and some are already there. So there's a lot of debate around superannuation, pension. It's kind of confusing, and we really wanted to take the pulse and also get that message to the decision makers in Canberra.
Well, it was interesting to find that people over 65 believe they should pay less tax. Now, they're still working after retirement age, and that goalpost seems to be moving more and more. Should there be a new tax bracket for people in that age bracket?
There seems to be an increasing argument for that. Of course, everyone wants to pay less tax when it comes to income, but the problem is the participation rate of older Australians. We need that. It's costing some $10 billion a year that older Australians aren't working. They have the skills, there is the need, but of course tax is a problem, so it's well worth looking at. And as I said, 85%, the biggest overall number in the whole survey.
And ageism is a problem too for employers.
Yeah, well, look, we found in this survey 37% of people said that they had suffered discrimination over work. There was a survey coming out from the Age Discrimination Commissioner this week which said 27%. So obviously it's a big issue out there. We need to discuss it because more people need to work longer, whether they like it or not.
Well, that's true. Now, not everyone would agree with the whole changing the tax bracket. There are some that would argue that a day's work is a day's work. Doesn't matter how old you are, you're just going to have to do it.
Look, that's true, but and the message coming through with this is older Australians, you know, superannuation has only been going for a certain amount of time, so that's not enough. And they're finding that there's not enough adequacy in their superannuation balances. They've been, you know, there's been asked to rely less and less on the pension or the part pension, so work is a third option in retirement, but you've got to make it worthwhile for people.
So what did you find out regarding the budget pension assets test?
Yeah, well, this was quite a strong one. So it's been suggested that you actually reduce what's called the threshold, so it would limit how much people can get the pension depending on assets they have apart from the household. But as you can imagine, people were pretty much against that. It was well over 70%.
And you were telling me just then, before we came on here, that the middle age isn't 35 anymore. What is middle age now?
Well, look, it's, you know, we call it the 50-up club, but the boss of the World Population Bureau, he said recently that, in fact, the new middle age is actually 60. Now we're living to 90, 95. We've got to give away this idea that we're middle-aged at 40. That is actually something more when you get to 60. So that's a reassuring thought for many of us, but I think we do really need to think again about age. You know, you go to a 60-year-old's birthday, as I did the other day, it's not like it was a 60-year-old's birthday for my parents. All
right, Christopher, thank you so much for your time. The ground is shifting beneath our feet. To have your say, go to the 50upclub.com.